The day has finally come.
Our years spent together have come to an end.
Farewells are hard and emotional.
However, they must be said.
But every beginning comes from another's end.
It's time to say goodbye to friends.
And to reflect on the good and not so good times we've shared.
We have come to the end of an exciting roller coaster of highs and lows.
Filled with the expected and the unexpected.
We will treasure and cherish our memories.
And they will stay with us for the rest of our lives.
We have been guided all the way by our very special educators,
who went beyond teaching what ought to be taught,
but to also taught us what we needed to learn.
This is a time for celebration.
A celebration of all lessons learned and adventures shared.
This is not the end,
but a beautiful new beginning.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to celebrate the fantastic class of 2020. Now, we will be taking a trip down memory lane as we watch snippets of their time at school. The slideshow contains fond memories we shall have of them when they are gone. Accompanying the slideshow will be the graduation song, Hall of Fame, by The Script.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best. You could be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can be the war, you could be the war. You can take the guy, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can be the cop. You can move mountains, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedication something you don't find yourself standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. You can walk straight through hell with a smile. You can be your hero, you can get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. Do it for your people, do it for your pride. You never wanna know, you can never even try. Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause there's gonna be a day when you're standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. She's running with the first place. And the world's gonna know your name. Then you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be teachers, be politicians, be teachers. People in the sea, astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers. Be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders. Astronauts, be champions, standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. 'Cause we burn on the brightest flame. And the world's gonna know your name. Could you be on the wall of the Hall of Fame? Be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can be the world, you can be the world. You can touch the guy, go banging on his door. Oh, you can throw your hands up and you can be the God. You can move mountains and you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate something you'll find yourself standing in the Hall of Fame.
the 2020 valedictorian Ilerioluwa Olagbaye for his valedictory speech.
Stand up, stand up.
Mrs. Lekki, our Executive Director, Dr. Bonnie Wilson, our Deputy Director of Education, Mrs. Faisha Ojugo, our Head of School Lekki Campus, our esteemed members of the Senior Management and Senior Leadership Team, our highly respected teachers, all non-academic units, parents and guests, and of course all of us, the distinguished class of 2020. Good morning. I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here today and appreciate the fact that we could all be present. I would like to start my speech with a story. The story of Benjamin Rubenstein. Benjamin was diagnosed with bone cancer at the age of 16 and was set to undergo his first radiotherapy process in 2003 at the age of 19. Now, the way radiotherapy was done back then, he had to stand completely still, arms spread out, in a gigantic room for 5 long minutes, as radiation was fired at him from head to toe. Keeping in mind how excruciatingly painful the process was, he had to endure it twice a day for 4 days straight, and he considers it one of the most painful experiences of his life. The therapy process could kill his cancer cells, but there were many risks at that time. If he was unlucky, the therapy process could damage his healthy cells and even result in him developing a new type of cancer. 6 months later, however, he got better and he's been cured permanently. A few years later, Benjamin forgot what he ate for lunch. As more times passed, he started forgetting names, artists, titles of movies and songs. It was excruciatingly painful to realize how his brain was failing him so easily while he was still just in his early 30s. After doing some long research, he discovered that radiation could result in permanent brain deficiencies. He decided to go for cognitive testing. His IQ returned above average, but his memory was in the world's bottom 7%. He could think of what to say, but it would take him much longer, as if there were significant delays in his speech. He felt dejected. All that effort all that pain he endured, trying to extend his life, only to reduce the quality of it. After a few days, he brought himself together and realized that if he talked more slowly, that would give his brain more time to catch up, and he would therefore sound a bit more consistent. Taking on this newfound solution, Benjamin worked day and night practicing reducing his speech. He mastered his body language and even learned from others with the same condition. Now, what this story shows us is that there is always a solution. I want you to know that when it comes to situations that seem unfair or beyond our control, do not let those unprecedented situations control you. Although our problems may not be as big as bone cancer, the lesson still stands that we should not let little setbacks or failures dictate your future. Like Benjamin did, I encourage you to bring yourself together, to try and always find a solution, because feeling angry or depressed is not going to help. There's a saying that goes, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But you do not have to settle with what life throws at you. You have to go above and beyond to make the absolute best of your situation. Because if you work your hardest, when life gives you those lemons, you sell them and buy yourself a drink. Our year was always the experimental set. And it was different with us then, and it still is now. The most relevant of our changes, missing out on our IGCSEs, was a bitter-sweet experience. But if I have learned anything from this series of unforeseen events, it is that we must learn to adapt. The fact is, we live in a constantly changing world, and this is only the beginning. And I'm simply asking you to keep your mind open to new possibilities that may lay ahead of you, and to adapt to the situation beyond your control, because adaptation will not only help you survive, but it will help you thrive when you encounter these unpredictable times. Over the last 5 years, Greensprings has molded me into the person I am today. But whether you've been here for 2 or 12 years, this school has made a sizable impact on all our lives. So I express my gratitude to every member of this community for the effort they put into shaping us to become better people. But the highest gratitude, of course, goes to our parents. They are the reason we are here. And on behalf of myself and every other student, I would like to let you know that we truly and deeply appreciate all you do for us. I will remain nostalgic about some of the experiences that we've had in GSO. I will miss our CDC days, our swag awards, our poster scavenger hunts, even our Big Elegant program, among our most major events. But I will also miss some of the more detailed experiences we've had in GSO. Like how I would ask what subjects we had today and someone would reply me with 11 by the FM, or how I would be in a good mood just for Wednesday breakfast and dinner. And I will never forget how my name is probably still written down in the talk show book for 15 hours. Now, I consider myself privileged to have been among a gifted year group. I'm filled with skilled athletes, talented artists, incredible musicians, and great academics. 10 years from now, I want to be reminded of each and every one of your names. Because as you move on from Greensprings today, I want you to represent yourself, your family, Greensprings, and our country, Nigeria, to the very best of your ability. Great things are expected from us, and greater things we will do in Jesus' name. Now, as the next chapter of our life begins, in whatever part of the world, I am imploring us to never forget where we are coming from. Never forget our culture, and most importantly, never forget, in love, serve one another. Thank you.
Well done, Ilerioluwa. We look forward to hear great things about you and your peers in the not too distant future. Our next presentation is a tribute to the class of 2020 by Jessica Awimoni and David Oke.
You set to run.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest speaker as she takes the floor.
Hello and good morning to everyone gathered here to celebrate the amazing class of 2020. I am extremely fortunate and privileged to be the guest of honor on this momentous day. Greensprings has a very special place in my heart. I was told that I am the first alumna to be the guest of honor at a Lekki graduation, and I am completely mind blown and honored to be trusted with this responsibility. To be honest, I have actually dreamt about this moment. I have fantasized about one day coming back to speak at a graduation, only I thought I would be in my 40s with a lot more wisdom to impart. So believe me when I say that I am over the moon to have this opportunity. In many ways, I think it is fitting because I have a lot in common with you students. I too am a member of the class of 2020. I graduated from university in May and also had a virtual ceremony. So I am speaking from experience when I say I empathize because I truly understand your circumstances. I know how it feels to have the last few moments you should have had as a class together taken away so abruptly. I know the sense of loss you feel to not have a prom, to not have a bonfire night, if that's still a thing, to not take IGCSEs. But I truly hope that even without the pomp and circumstance of an in-person ceremony, that you all realize how extremely proud we are of you today. Graduation from secondary school is no small feat. So wherever you are, could you just do me a little favor and give yourselves a round of applause because you made it this far, and that is worth celebrating regardless of the circumstances. In fact, I think the class of 2020 is the greatest class to graduate from Greensprings. And do you know why? Because you have made a way and persisted through times of enormous challenge and difficulty. I commend you for your maturity, for your ability to keep perspective, and I am confident that you will go on to do great and mighty things in the world. And honestly, you guys already have. So I did a little bit of sleuthing and found out about the absolutely exceptional things you all have achieved. I am happy to hear that the Swag Awards legacy still goes on, and you guys even elevated it by having online voting for the first time and raising about 450,000 naira. I heard that some of you represented Nigeria in Dubai and even Mexico in robotics and physics, which is absolutely crazy because nobody in my year was representing Nigeria at anything or anywhere. But more importantly, amongst this great class are excellent public speakers, writers, actors, actresses, impressive musicians, and stage directors. So I am awe-inspired by all of you. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge your teachers who undoubtedly had a role to play in nurturing and fostering your commitment to excellence and achieving. So thank you, teachers, for all that you do for us. I do not say this enough, but I truly appreciate the role you played in making me who I am today. I have not forgotten, and I will never ever forget. With that being said, now it is time to get into the words I have prepared for you today. I feel the most authentic way to give advice is to speak from my own experiences. There are many things with benefit of hindsight I wish I knew when I was your age, so I am going to take you through my journey since I graduated from Greensprings up until now and give you little nuggets of advice along the way. So I have 8 lessons for you all today. So let's start. So on results day, during the summer after I graduated from Greensprings, my mom woke me up early in the morning and said, Ebu, oh my God, you got 10 A stars and 1 B. And in true Ebu fashion, I responded by saying, 1 B? I had completely disregarded that 10 A stars that I had gotten and was boggled down by the 1B, even though I had surpassed my goal of 9 A stars. So you see, I am so committed to striving for excellence, to outdoing myself, to aiming for perfection, which is amazing in and of itself, but it also comes with its disadvantages, and I will explain that. These disadvantages became evident in the first year after I left GSL when I was in the US. The problem with me putting so much of my self-worth and identity in my achievements is that when I eventually failed to meet the high expectations I set for myself, I lost who I was. When I stopped achieving, I did not know my identity. So the first lesson here is do not let your validation and sense of self come from external things. Let your validation come from within. Do not place your values on the affirmations you get from others, but let your sense of self come from inside you. Not your grades, not your achievements, not your career, and not even your friends. Yes, by all means, aim for the best. Be the best. I am all for that. But please do not let that be all you are. Okay, so where are we in the story? After I left Greensprings, I went to a prestigious boarding school in New Hampshire in the US. My dad made me skip a grade, which was a bad idea. So on top of being at a school where everyone was just as smart and even smarter than I was younger than everyone else and very unprepared. So for the first time in my life, I struggled academically. Also, on top of that, I lost 2 of my grandmothers that year. So compound the difficulty of academics on top of the emotional turmoil that comes with losing 2 people I love in such close proximity to each other. To say the least, I was struggling. And the biggest mistake I made and my biggest regret is that I did not ask for help. I let my pride get in the way. I would say to myself, Ebon, you can figure it out on your own. You can just put your head down and figure it out. And by the time I knew the lifeline that came with asking for help, the damage had already been done. So the second lesson here is that there is beauty in humility, and there is also wisdom in knowing where your abilities end and where you need help to get to your potential. So please seek mentors and helpers who walked the path before you. So at the end of that year, I sat my parents down and told them I was not ready for university. I asked them to please let me take a gap year. I told them I needed the year to breathe, to re-strategize, and heal from the trauma of that year. And I managed to convince them. So the third lesson here is know when to advocate for yourself. My self-awareness allowed me to know when to hit pause and take a break from my mental health. So I'm not telling you to go and start telling your parents what to do. No. The reason I was able to convince my parents was because I had proven I knew myself and was mature enough to come to that decision, and because of that, they respected it. So after my gap year, I spent my freshman year at the University of Texas at Austin, and I remember turning to my sister Oyinkotola at orientation. So orientation is during the first few days on campus, and I told her that I would not be spending all 4 years here. I wanted better. So I set my sights for the Wharton School, which is arguably the best undergraduate business school in the US and also an Ivy League school. Thank God I was accepted as one of 10 external transfers and the only Black person. So lesson number 4, relentlessly pursue your goals. Never settle for mediocrity and do not be too comfortable. Always aim for more. Okay, so now I'm at Wharton, my dream school. I'm finally back to the Ebon I know and love, and I am a student leader. My grades are great, and I managed to land a summer internship at my dream firm, Goldman Sachs. During my internship, I would have a couple of my fellow interns from liberal arts backgrounds who would come to me to explain some concepts to them. So I went to an undergraduate business school, so concepts like stocks and bonds and options and the financial markets were not foreign to me. So I would sit with them and sometimes even stay late to help with their projects. So it turns out my bosses were watching and taking notes. At the end of the summer at my meeting with HR, I was told that the main reason I got a full-time offer was because I was helpful to my peers. Yes, I was great at my job, but the determining factor was that I took the time to give of myself to others. So lesson number 5, please help others. Be a resource to other people around you. Okay, so now I've graduated, and on Wednesday I actually started my job full-time at Goldman Sachs. But let's rewind to 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I was one of 4 girls in Mr. Orobara's accounting class. 3 of us were good friends, and during class we would fantasize about how one day we would walk on Wall Street and take the financial world and New York by storm. The craziest thing is, I now live with those 2 girls in New York, and we are all working on Wall Street. The fantasies we had in a classroom on the 3rd floor of Block B have now become a reality. Lesson number 6, please have edifying friendships. Your friendship should not be superficial. Surround yourself with friends who will encourage you, hold you accountable with kindness, and push you to be the best version of yourself. I cannot stress this enough, especially to you ladies. Female friendships are incredible lifelines and fountains of extreme joy. So please keep in touch with one another, check in on one another. Our dream did not just magically come true. We collectively work hard. We helped each other. We helped each other with interviews. We prayed for one another as well. So this past summer, because of the pandemic, I have had a lot of alone time with myself just in the house, and I have spent this time pruning. So what is pruning? I want you to picture the image of like a mature vine being harshly plucked apart, so that in the spring it will bear even more healthy and beautiful fruit. I am pruning my excesses in several aspects of my life because I am trying to be prepared to bear more fruit in the next phase of my life. So I think all of you are on the precipice of a new chapter that will definitely define the trajectory of your life. So like me, I want you to spend a lot of time being introspective and self-reflective. That is lesson number 7. Please try and gain a deep understanding of yourself and love for yourself. I want you to understand and define your boundaries. And please ask yourself these questions. What are my goals? What are my non-negotiables? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How am I going to hold myself accountable? Also, I know a lot of you are going to school in the US, the UK, or Canada. So please stay tuned and read a lot of books on what it means and entails to be Black and predominantly white spaces. I cannot stress how important this is. Finally, lesson number 8, and if there is anything you take away from what I have said, let it be this. Hold on to whatever you believe in. If that is God, great. Let God be your anchor. Hold steadfastly to your values. There is something my father always admonishes. Ranti omo eni ti o se. Pardon my Yoruba, but it means remember the child of whom you are. I cannot stress how important it is to never ever forget who you are. Do not get lost in the world. Life will throw you so many curveballs, so many challenges, and you might even be faced with situations that directly contradict your values. Please do not forget all that you have learned. So on that note, I want to thank you all for welcoming me back and allowing me the honor to speak to you all today. Congratulations once again to the amazing class of 2020. I wish you the best with your future endeavors, and I am going to be looking out for you and rooting for each and every one of you. It was so nice to be back. Thank you all, and God bless you. Bye-bye.